Hey, up here. Yeah, up here. Hello. I'm not so rad. Look out the window.
Because of my schizophrenia and bipolar disorder, I like to draw when I'm hallucinating. And when it's not faces that I'm hallucinating, I draw the geometric hallucinations that I see. Like, I see shapes that do this. They kind of go in and out. I don't know how to explain it, but it's part of what I experience on a daily basis. Very three-dimensional shapes from a two-dimensional line. And that's how it looks to me. And so to get the energy out, I like to just draw it out. And sometimes I turn it into faces as I'm drawing it. Woo! Get a smiley face there. A lot of the times when I draw things, it's because I was hallucinating or I had a vision a few minutes beforehand.
So that video was by the artist Christopher Grant, who I'm really excited that we're joined by with here today. Hi, Chris. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, it's a pleasure being here right now.
Yeah, so I guess just to start off with, when were you first diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder? And can you tell us a little bit about what that was like?
Oh, well, that was in the fall of 2017. And that whole experience was like a world flipping kind of experience. Because I remember that for many years I had manic depression and like bipolar kind of symptoms, and I was managing that. But I had a breakdown in 2017 where I was on the floor and I just was kind of squirming around because I didn't know what to do. Because it got to a point where all things were coming at me at all sides, it felt like. And it felt like when I went in public that all eyes were staring at me, and it was so like, the best way to put it is it feels like it's pressing against you. Car parks next to you and you feel like everyone's just like looking at you, and it's not true. And so I remember I just felt this overwhelming pressure, and then I went to the doctor's office, and he diagnosed me with schizoaffective disorder, so bipolar type schizophrenia. Yeah.
Right. So what are the main symptoms that you deal with on a daily basis?
Well, even when I take antipsychotics, I still hallucinate. And so a lot of the times whenever I'm like just going about my day or I'm trying to go through my routines, I get stopped a lot by auditory and visual hallucinations. And they mostly revolve around faces and voices that are gibberish that are kind of like lulling me to do other things.
Mm-hmm.
And so I get caught in that like a net, and it happens pretty frequently.
You do a really great job of visually depicting that sensation in your artwork, which is really cool. I'm wondering, when did you first get into art as an outlet for expressing your experience with schizophrenia or schizoaffective disorder?
Actually, in 2017, when I was diagnosed with it, because I was an artist my whole life, but I only drew like funny pictures to make my friends laugh and stuff. And I didn't take it completely seriously, even though I went to an art school. It was only whenever I went through the symptoms of schizoaffective that I started drawing faces more and eyeballs more, because it was the only thing I was obsessing over. And so I would draw that over and over and over again, and it would soothe something for me. So that's why I do it to this day.
Yeah. I mean, your art and animations definitely resonate with me, and I'm sure with others who live with schizophrenia spectrum illnesses as well. And it seems like your art is really an artistic representation of what symptoms are like for you. Is that fair to say? And can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah. So a lot of the symptoms that I deal with is like this creeping feeling that I'm always being watched, which we all relate to, I think. Like even when you're completely alone, isolated, you're not near anybody, you still feel like there's like a peanut gallery in your head, or a crowd that's like talking about you, or like making you feel like you're this spotlight of attention, even when you're completely alone. I don't know if you deal with that, but I deal with that every day.
Mm-hmm.
Like I live in my own house, and it's in the middle of the woods and I'm still constantly looking at windows, looking at the door, and I'm constantly like, what's next? Like, who's going to come through? Even though I know logically that I'm safe and I'm okay. And so in my artwork, a lot of the depictions that I draw are that sensation, but visualized.
Right.
Like,
So it sounds like you're depicting a feeling more so than that's literally what you're seeing.
well, a lot of people misunderstand my art or my TikTok and think that I'm being literal, but I'm not being literal.
Right.
It's a feeling. It's based off of the essence of what's going on. So,
And I think that's what really resonates with me too, is that you do a really good job of encapsulating the feeling. That's not literally what you're seeing and what's going on, but that feeling is really, embodied in your artwork, which is pretty cool.
thank you.
So, does your artwork change based on the symptoms that you're experiencing at any given time?
Yes, actually.
So, how does it
A lot.
change? And sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it's okay. I was going to say that my artwork changes a lot based on many things. Sometimes it changes based off my bipolar symptoms. So if I'm manic, I might draw things that are a little more exuberant and more flair and like kind of like, I don't want to use the word crazy, but kind of like a lot going on and a lot of like, I don't know, because mania is something in kind of its own that's really hard to deal with. And so whenever I have manic symptoms, I draw. Whenever I have the depressive lows, a lot of my art gets a little muted or like, I don't know how to explain it, like less faces, more like a feeling of like desolation or bleakness. And so things might be more orderly and less swirly. And it changes based off of my mania, hallucinations, mood, and depression that comes in and out sometimes.
Some people with schizophrenia have a hard time talking about this subject, comfortable hallucinations, because not everybody experiences comfortable hallucinations, but to those who do, like me and a few of my friends online, comforting hallucinations kind of make you feel like everything is going to be all right, as opposite to the ones that are kind of like, I'm in your walls or whatever. Like, the comforting hallucinations are an uncanny experience because whether you see it through faces, hear it through voices, the wind talks to you, whatever it is, comforting hallucinations give you this warm feeling of everything is going to be all right and maybe things aren't so bad. And you find yourself talking with these hallucinations internally, or at least responding to them in what you do next. And these hallucinations can be really, really warm and cozy and show up as colors and lights, beautiful like manifestations of the universe trying to talk with you. That's what it's like in experience. And so a lot of people have a hard time talking about that because there's so much negativity associated with schizophrenia. And yes, it is hard to live with schizophrenia, but people need to realize like it's not all bad. And that's why I embrace my hallucinations all the time, because you never know. Sometimes it's really beautiful.
So you mentioned that your art really helps to kind of soothe you at times too. So, I mean, is there other ways that your art helps you cope with your illness? Or is it mostly that soothing effect that it has?
It's the soothing effect that it has while I'm drawing. It's not even like it completing a picture sometimes. Sometimes it's just doing swirls or doing little scribbles. There's something about that that feels like a release for me. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's why I do it constantly, because like I'll drive to the beach or something and I'll start having symptoms and I'll sit and I always have sketchbooks with me. And then I'll take my sketchbook and just start drawing eyes or faces or swirls or like pattern textures. And it soothes me enough that I can calm down, refocus and drive again.
Right.
So,
So a really good coping mechanism during those
yeah.
times. I guess I'm also wondering, does putting some of your hallucinations down on paper and just kind of getting it outside of your mind and body, does it help you to feel more in control when you're experiencing those symptoms?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's one of the main reasons I do it, because I'm not doing it because I'm like, I'm excited. Here's hallucinations. that's another misconception of people see of me. And I think it might be the way I express it without shame. But the way that I like, when I put it down on paper, it feels like I'm more in control of the feeling of what I'm going through because I have a visual that's more static. It's more like I can look at it and assess it because I find art is subconscious. And so if I can look at my artwork and look at what I'm drawing, I can figure out what's really going on within me. So I use
Right.
it as a tool for healing and reflection as well.
That's great. I mean, honestly, when I'm looking at some of your artwork and your animations and whatnot, I actually get that feeling too of being able to better understand and kind of separate symptoms that I experience as well. So thank you for that and for sharing that with other people too. It's really great.
Thank you.
So, Chris, do you think that there is a benefit, I guess, for other people to engage in artwork as an outlet for their symptoms or for things that they're going through?
Yes, because whenever you create artwork or whenever you draw, whenever you do anything expressive, you find pieces of yourself that you weren't really like you didn't really know about, and parts of you that are more expressive tend to show the light in you too. So even if you're going through a dark patch or whatever, when you draw, you start to think, and when you start to think or you listen to music or it becomes a flow state, and if you can get into that flow state, you can heal and you can start to go like, oh, well, maybe I do like this and I like the way this color is coming out, or, I feel satisfied with like the kind of like texture I'm doing or whatever. It's like a confidence builder if you keep going and doing it because your art can only get better if you continue doing it. So by expressing yourself, you find pieces of yourself too.
Yeah, totally. So there's benefits to expressing yourself. Even if you're not particularly artistically inclined, there's still definitely
Yeah,
benefits to it.
definitely.
What do you hope that people who don't have schizophrenia and are watching your videos or seeing your art take away from them?
I hope that they take away compassion most of all, because I mean, it's nice to draw pictures and do like artwork and express myself. There's a lot of benefits with that. But the main reason why I do it is because back in like 2019, when I started my TikTok for the very first time, I was expressing myself because nobody would listen and people kind of treated me weird. And since I've done my TikTok and my art and been more vocal and open about it, people kind of know where I'm at and they know how to engage me better. And so
Hmm.
I don't feel as alone or like a freak. And so I've gotten a lot of compassion from people. And I hope that by sharing what I go through, other people that go through it will see that, there's self-worth there and you can express it and you don't have to shut up and sit in a corner and, you can express it, you can talk about it, you can share experiences if you're comfortable. But if people aren't comfortable either, I feel like I can be an outlet of like, oh, there's the artwork and I feel like a connection because a lot of people tell me they feel a connection with my art. And if it can help people in any way, like on the spectrum, then I'm happy because we need more compassion towards schizophrenia. And I know this because, and I'm sure you know this too, a lot of people who don't understand online can be really cruel in comment sections. And there can be a lot of like really weird misconceptions or trolling that goes on. And so compassion is the main thing. Like, we're people, you know?
Yeah, I think you're doing a really beautiful job of humanizing the illness for people who are both living with the illness as well and for people who may just be curious to learn more. So thank you for the work that you're doing.
And thank you for the work that you're doing, Lauren.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Thank you so much, Chris, for joining us today. It was really wonderful getting to hear more about your story and your artwork and your animations. They're so wonderful, and I'm so excited to be sharing them with our audience. So thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Thank you.
So make sure to check out Chris's socials to find even more of his artwork and animations. You can find him on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at xoradmagical. We will also link to that in the description below. Thanks so much again, Chris, and thank you to all of you for watching this video. Wishing you and your loved ones good health, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.